So, a couple days ago, I was trying to fall asleep and having trouble when all of a sudden I come across this post on Reddit, the r/ global offensive subreddit, um, detailing this very informative post, this expose, perhaps, talking about the Chinese CS scene. And there's been a lot that's kind of like been uncovered over the past couple of days since this post got released, and I feel like it doesn't have enough public attention. I mean, I understand that there's a lot of like discernibility as to how trustworthy all this information is. There's no official article of it yet, um, but for the sake of kind of getting larger engagement, so that more of like the international CS scene is aware of what's going on in the Chinese scene, I feel like it's important to share this. Chinese CS whistleblower drops bomb. Somebody running match fixing with soft router cheats, cousin Mr. C, behind Wings Up and ATOX. All this information is provided by a live stream by this guy. His name is Shukabai. Is probably not even how you properly pronounce it, but he's kind of the main perpetrator behind this entire leak. And so, a couple days ago, live streaming himself, kind of discussing this entire expose. To summarize what was covered by Shugabai's stream, describes that there's been a match fixing ring going on amongst old tier of like CS pros from China. This is kind of masterminded by this guy who we'll dub as Mr. C. The second in command is Haowen somebody Zhu, the Chinese player who previously has played on Tyloo and Rare Atom before. In this case, is being accused of kind of being like the main perpetrator of like being the connection to lure in all these pros into the match fixing game. There is supposedly a testimony from the Jordanian player BOROS, right? The player who was previously on Team Falcons, who was kicked for changing out his mouse. There is also a chat log with Mr. C, 23-minute recorded call, which was not been shown. Mr. C and somebody are very closely related. They maybe not necessarily like blood relation, but they are like associated heavily with one another. And Mr. C has actually been managing this match fixing ring for quite a while, for the past few years or so. He's the owner of previous other like Asian teams as well, kind of on lower tier. The most notable team is ATOX, which will field a Mongolian roster. If for those who know, they were recently banned by ESL and ESIC for having match fixer games earlier this year in 2025. Most of the team was given lifetime bans basically for being involved with, as they say in the HLTV article, Chinese organized crime betting syndicates. So that means that these guys have had all these bets set up for them to lose basically, and the money is wired to their accounts, similar to how they caught the iBuyPower guys in the past back in 2015. Another team mentioned in the previous post as well was Wings Up, which is another Chinese team in the past, which is kind of like lower tier. Apparently there was some situation that kind of implicated them back in 23. So one of the people that was approached to help match fix at the time was BOROS. After he was kicked from Team Falcons, he would find himself on the GG Hao team, which was this Middle Eastern roster fielded by this Chinese organization basically. And at one point, while he was at the tournament, he was basically approached by somebody in Mr. C to throw their match. Here is a video confession of him showcased on the live stream, where he recorded himself kind of confessing about the whole situation. BOROS would go on to tweet this publicly. Hey everyone, when I was in China, somebody who was playing in Rare Atom in the time he and his friends asked me to match fix, and I refused, and this people needed to get banned from esports. Thanks for GG How for getting me out from those people in the time. Thanks for Chinese fans. BOROS would later go on to buy out his salary from GG How so that he could basically leave the scene, probably in fear of like further repercussions for kind of wanting to, being approached about this whole match fixing situation. I'm not even sure if GG How really knew if like what was going on in the scene as well. It's kind of a little bit unsure, but I assume that they probably had no further implication if, they were willing to help BOROS get out of this whole like. Supposedly, this is a screenshot shown on Shukabai's stream that was sent from Mr. C to BOROS in order to match fix. Let's see here, he does go by the name of Frankie on Messenger. Supposedly, according to the video, would have been sent after they basically had met and they had initially approached him to match fix, which he denied, right? Now, according to Shukabai, a day before the leak, Chinese player DD, who is currently the IGL of Steel Helmet, who's also previously a player on Wings Up and like Tyloo as well, he would go on to actually try to reach out to Shukabai and ask not to really expose, not to kind of expose the whole match fixing situation. And so he apparently arranged a conversation with Mr. C and somebody with Shukabai, where Mr. C begged to protect somebody, saying expose everyone, just not him. Mr. C would then go on to admit to having, like, in the past used like a soft router cheat before. He had this undetectable like external radar hack that gave him like an advantage in the games. And supposedly, not only did Mr. C use this, and potentially his other teams might have used this as well, but it is also very possible that Rear Adam had actually used this cheat during their Shanghai Major RMR run. Now, for those who know, in the Chinese qualifier to make the Asian RMR, Rear Adam went on to actually beat Tyloo, who was considered the super team built up, consisting of most of the players on the current roster, all except probably Attacker. But you had Jamyoung, Mozia, Mercury, G, and Starry, who was being loaned from Lin Vision. All these players were expected to breeze through the qualifier very briskly. However, it's speculated that Rear Adam had been using this soft router cheat to gain an advantage, basically, over their opponents, and Tyloo would end up losing to Rear Adam, and Rear Adam would go on to qualify for the Shanghai Major. However, this led to heavy backlash to the Tyloo team, which affected 3 different players. The first most notable one, because Tyloo had lost, Jamyoung was considering a move to Valorant. However, unfortunately, his tryouts did not pan out well, which is the only reason why he came back to playing CS once more. G, who had signed on to Tyloo after succeeding with Lin Vision the previous major, was super flamed online by the Chinese fans. And Starry, who was also being loaned over from Lin Vision, would go back to Lin Vision, basically. So the reason why this super team did not work out and why Tyloo team got all this flack, and it's possibly because Rear Adam cheated against them. Supposedly, Shukabai would go on to kind of challenge Rear Adam, determining whether or not like the team had possibly been match fixing or cheating. We'll get into that a little bit later. Another notable thing was that the boss of Gigi Hao actually claims that the soft router cheats were also used against them previously before in their matches. There's also some other information regarding another player named Evil Dog that belonged to one of Mr. C's other teams before, who is apparently also a known cheater as well. There's no proper information to kind of back this evidence up at the moment, regarding even just who the player is referring to in the first place. However, the craziest part is that this is only just a fraction of what is going on in the Chinese CS scene, and that this has been going on for even longer than what people have been even noticing, for all that matter. This goes beyond into other teams and other players that have been associated with match fixing in the past before. Some with even more famous names. We'll actually get into those in a little bit. So this begs the question, right? Can we trust current Tyloo and Lin Vision? Well, according to Shukabai, he says that the current iteration of Tyloo players and Lin Vision players are completely innocent from the situation. And this is completely separate from the fact about the whole Zacher sex scandal or the Mercury sexual allegations, right? This is completely separate from those situations. They're not involved in match fixing whatsoever. Nothing has come of those situations since, so I'm not going to be covering it in this video. Supposedly, one of the biggest contributors to this entire case is Mozia, the current Tyloo player, who had helped Shukabai put together his information, and apparently after having a talk with him, led to Shukabai deciding to come forth with all this information describing the whole match fixing situation with somebody. Now, according to Shukabai as well, there was a previous iteration of Rear Adam that had previously thrown these matches before, and this was the roster that existed between 2023 and 2024, where they were kind of diving into like a mixed European Chinese team. The roster included current wildcard player Fuzzy, along with current Rear Adam player Summer, ex-Rear Adam player X-Pro, European player Corey, and somebody as well on the roster. Now, supposedly, all the Chinese players were involved in the match fixing, except for the European players, who were completely unaware of what was going on. However, X-Pro would later come on to see this allegation against him and wanted to join the stream to kind of testify about his innocence, but he was unable to. Other people testify as well that X-Pro was not involved in the situation as well. However, in the past, there was also a previous account of another team that he played on that was previously throwing their match. So it's still a little bit discernible as to whether or not he was truly involved. But it's probably going to be further information that will come out later. There's also further speculation as well that the previous old Tyloo iteration back during 2018 and 2019 was also heavily involved in match fixing. As most people know, highly regarded player Bentet from Indonesia was on the Tyloo roster during this time, and supposedly back then they had made 1 million Chinese yuans off of match fixing. However, Bentet himself had only received 5,000 yuan through this entire match fixing scandal. Now, supposedly, Captain Mo, who was another previous Tyloo player, was also involved in the match fixing situation, as apparently he and alongside DD were also confirmed to be one of the alleged that were involved in match fixing around the time of 2015 to 2019. This is like when the CSGO scene was kind of starting to peak at the time, and it was kind of well known by the Chinese community about this information. During the time of 2018 to 2019, Tyloo's parent company shared ownership with 5E, which was kind of one of the big distributors for CS servers at the time within China before Perfect World, which gave the team inside advantages as to how they got upper-handed info during tournaments. And supposedly this is sourced from an ex-Navi event manager in China at the time. But there's nothing to really completely back up. Now, what can be gathered from this information was that Captain Mo and DD previously match fixing themselves, and they weren't keen on involving somebody into the match fixing situation, so both of them ended up getting benched. And I think it's kind of ironic that somebody would go on to make his own match fixing rig with his own blackjack and hookers, basically. Now, according to Shukabai, he's already apparently reached out to ESIC about this information, and there will likely be an article coming within the next few days kind of confirming the entire Chinese match fixing scandal. However, because he is presenting this information to them, it is likely going to take some time for them to process everything to reconfirm that it is true, considering the severity of the entire situation. Rear Adam would later go on to post this Billy message sent later that day of the initial post, and translated, they basically have denied uninvolved in the match fixing or cheating situation. However, they intend to help go along with the investigation to prove their innocence. And if things are proven to be true, they intend to sue somebody for kind of besmirching Rear Adam as an organization. There's also been other accounts before of somebody having supposedly replied to Shukabai and denying the allegations. However, there's nothing to fully back up what he's saying to be true. So at the moment, this is kind of all the information that we currently have to work with. I think more will probably come out within the next few days, or even weeks, or even months or so. So we'll just kind of have to stick around, just wait to see what goes on and who is caught up in this web of lies and scumminess. Things are going to get serious within the next few days, and there's already been more allegations that have come up since. But at the moment, there's nothing too concrete to completely back it up. Neither is it big enough. But this is just kind of the unpeeling of what's been going on in the Chinese CS scene and this whole match fixing scandal. And it's this other side of CS esports that we've known in the past has happened before, but for other teams. And so now it's the underbelly of the Chinese CS scene, as it's kind of becoming more public, is facing the forefront of this entire situation. All these old professional players, some of them have retired or moved on to Valorant, right? Some of these guys are getting exposed now, and they're being proven to hey, what they're doing is bannable, as we've seen from iBuyPower before in the past. So it's really just a wonder to kind of see what's been going on and to kind of uncover everything. When I first read the initial post, I was in complete shock, because the Chinese scene, I mean, you understand that there's a lot of market pump and dump, and there's a lot of money going through the scene in the first place, right? But to kind of see that the professional players who have been trying to make bank off of match fixing for so long, and that they've been getting away with it for the longest time, and just other people seem to supposedly be unaware, or it's a whole ring of match fixing and just all these different teams that are like collaborating together in order to like pull off the amount of money that's being transferred in between the scenes. It's just crazy. It's just crazy to see. And it's very disappointing as well because, like, you know, I think like steadily you've seen like the Asian CS scene has grown from the Mongols succeeding as of lately, and even the Chinese teams such as like Lin Vision and Tyloo doing really well lately as well. So it's really disappointing to see that bad actors of the past have really kind of besmirched what's going on, and like this is like another step back for the Asian scene. I want to give a big shout out to Bell on Twitter for having done a lot of the translating for many of these posts basically, and the information taken from the stream before. I also want to shout out the previous posters as well for having shared the initial information regarding the situation. Without these guys, I would not have been able to understand anything, and I think some of the other people would probably be in the same situation as well. I just wanted to kind of gather all the information and put it into a digestible video for people to kind of understand what's been going on in the Chinese CS scene. I also just want to shout out Advent Ultras as well. It's a CS Twitter community, now X, where we kind of just do a lot of discussing about the Asian CS scene. So if you want to stay in the know about what's going on with the whole match fixing situation, you know, we have a lot of information on here, so please feel free to join and to stay in the know. And also if you just want to support your favorite Asian teams as well. Anyways, I want to thank you all for sticking around and watching this video. I hope it was very informative, and I hope that I covered most of the information correct. Please let me know if I missed anything that was really crucial. And yeah, hopefully we just see a brighter day for Chinese CS in general. And please share this video with people that you think would be interested. I'll try to make a follow-up video if necessary, and also seeing whether or not, like, you know, anything comes of it, basically. Please like and subscribe and share this video if you would like. And I'll try to keep you guys up in the know as to what's going on with the future of Chinese CS matches and scandal. So yeah, peace.